Friggin' what up, dude? Strider Wilson, I'm the host of this podcast that's mine. Gonna be called History is Dank. History is Dank with Strider Wilson. Darkness from the cloud.
Friggin' what up, dude? Welcome back to another ep of History is Dank. I'm your host, Strider Wilson. We got Aaron going beast mode on the sticks, dude. What up, Aaron, dude?
What up?
Dude, today, this episode is out on October 29th, 2024. So once you're done listening to this, you're listening to this on your way to work, and when you get home, go ahead and cruise over to the All Things Comedy YouTube page and check out the special, Making Memories. It's your boy doing an hour. Stand-up specials out live right now.
Do it.
The link's going to be... Go ahead, do it. Do it. Hey, get yourself another beer. Do it. Get two. Do it. You're going to have fun. I'm going to put the link in this episode description. I'm going to put it in a lot of episodes, so it's easy to find. Check it out. Have fun. Call your friend. Call your mom. Tell them to watch. So, fired up on that. Very stoked. We got freaking just, talking of what's going on, current events, before we dive into a little history here, which, by the way, is a suggestion episode today. We had an email in from a Danktorian, John Haas. What up? Shout out. Also, shout out to my boy Luke right now, who's crushing his Jimmy Johns listening to this in the parking lot, dude, at work. I'll let them, my boy Luke's out there. Just want to give you a fat shout out, dude. Hopefully you got the pickles. They got dank pickles over at Jimmy J's, so hopefully you're crushing that, dude. Bumping the bass on this History is Dank intro song, gaining some knowledge while you're at work, dude. Fired up on that, and I know you're going to be watching the special tonight, my dude, so fired up. Maybe we'll hop on the sticks later, so quick shout out to Luke. Gotta give him his shout out, dude. Anyway, we got Dodgers, Yankees. Aaron's not excited about it.
Nope.
I mean, too many big guns. You got to have $1 billion to field a baseball team these days.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It's the two evil empires at this point.
But, dude, aren't you excited to watch Shohei Ohtani at the plate going up against Aaron Judge?
Well, Judge has barely hit this whole postseason.
He's had a bad postseason. Yeah. Juan Soto's the dude, isn't he? And Stanton?
Yeah, and Stanton was the MVP. I mean, the MVP for the Dodgers of the NLCS was a former Cardinal, Tommy Edman. It's crazy.
There we go. What's Edman? What does he play?
He's been playing shortstop.
Oh, yeah. He kind of... I think he had a ground out that I watched. Is Kike Hernandez? They really put him all over the field, don't they?
Yeah, he can play anywhere.
What a beast. Utility guy.
Yeah.
Swiss Army knife. Anyway, enough baseball talk, dude. That's just so you can keep up with your grandpa, dude. Just giving you some facts. You call your dad, Dodgers, Yankees, a classic. Dad, you remember in 1981? I remember.
77 and 78.
Was that which one was the Reggie Jackson World Series?
The 77, 78.
That was a big one. That was sick. Freaking sick. So today, we're going to write a little bit of a thesis on today's. I got excited. I was like, dude, what am I, back in college? What, I got to get this episode in on time to my professor or my TA, dude, and then go play some B-pong or some freaking Snappa with the boys, dude. Maybe some beard eye, dude. Honestly, dude, when I was in college, beard eye was just coming up. I've done a history of beard eye. Go check out that episode. It's huge. My boy Brooks, dude, the expert up in Isla Vista, basically invented the game. I was more playing B-pong. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made, and I'm only sharing this not to sound chill, although, anytime I'm talking, I might be mistaken for sounding pretty chill. Slight brag, dude.
For sure.
In any case, thanks, Aaron, dude. One time I made a huge mistake, was in college trying to show off to my new friends in the freshman dorm. I said, hey, give me that Sailor J. Give me that, dude. Just to some kid. He probably a senior. I said, give me that. Punked a senior. And he's like, all right. Put a little bit of Sailor J into the B-pong cups, which already had Natty Light in there. Needless to say, I was playing in a beach volleyball tournament the next day. I underperformed heavily. I mean, I could barely move my legs. Cement in the sand, had to pull over, boke. in the car. Luckily, I got myself a nice California burrito. For those of you listening from across the pond or maybe in NorCal, what that is, it's a breakfast burrito with fries in there, steak, Cruz by Roberto's, one of the dankest things you can get. Aaron, you know what I'm talking about. You're an SD Loke.
Yeah, Roberto's are everywhere.
So dank. California burrito, dude. I got to say, it's probably been a decade since I've had one. Probably once you leave your 20s.
They're right across the freeway from us right now.
You can get one?
Yeah, here. Yeah. And a good one, yeah.
Dude, we should get one. Split one, though. These days, we got to split. Dude, now that I'm getting a little bit older, I'm all about splitting with my wife, dude. Let's split that. Split an entree. Maybe get a nice app. It's a nice move, dude. We're gonna split the pasta primavera, and then tell me more about that. Tell me more about that beet salad special you have. Goat cheese. Oh, we're not really into stinky cheeses. Maybe we'll just stick with the mista salad. We're gonna split everything. In fact, get rid of my chair. I'm gonna sit on my wife's lap while I eat. She's gonna feed me. It's about to get sexual. About to get sexual in this Blaze pizza. All right, dude. This episode, you looked at the title, you go, what's Warality? This is a word I made up. It's a word I made up combining war and morality. Let's define it. But maybe what will best help us define it is to give John's example of this first. He wrote in and it got me stoked. He goes, dude, Strider, and I quote John in a sick-ass email, dude. He goes, I always find it interesting when you find historical events of people pursuing their greedy self-interests that also produce some type of moral good. I think if we want good outcomes in geopolitics, markets, and other powerful and dangerous situations, learning to align self-interest/greed of involved parties to moral good is a lower risk and more manageable way of achieving moral outcome. Yeah, dude. They got this stuff. I think they call this in economics a little bit, they call it like maybe utility. Which is very interesting, and he's smart. Align, create incentives to, get positive outcomes. That's what we try to do. I think this is a very smart thing. And then I sort of ran with John's idea here. He used this great example of Russia aligning with the United States in the Civil War, being like two global powers that at this point in time we necessarily weren't beefing. But, of course, Cold War and such, we beefed. But maybe it's this idea of warality, which I sort of defined as morality, but it is in turn supporting a moral cause, but for underlying selfish reasons. Look, when I used to go to the farmer market with my wife, dude, it was so we could just friggin' load up on the aphrodisiacs. I'm talking about strawberries, cacao, dude, honey, shellfish, if available, dude, maybe some mushrooms. And then bone. But now, I straight up just like to cruise to the farmer's market and enjoy myself. So, it evolved. That was a benevolent situation, but oftentimes with Warality, the externalities are unpredicted and negative. Because it's a sneaky, sneaky way where you say, hey, in Warality, you're going, look, we're going to go to battle or supply arms or back a leader in this situation, but for our own selfish gain. And we're going to get into a couple of examples of that. You can probably already think of some in your dome. Maybe they'll align in this episode and you'll go, sick. I was thinking that, dude. Good call. Maybe Luke's thinking one right now. Luke, you might have a good call coming up. So in John's example, and this was interesting. I didn't know about this. Russia aligning with the United States in the Civil War, but why? They had something described by contemporary journalists, like in the 1860s, called mysterious magnetism, dude. Basically, it was like Russia. Imagine at a party, Russia and the United States. Russia's a hot, sexy, high cheekbone chick wearing leather. And the United States is a, tight jeaned, good hockey player ass, nice bulge. Henley top wearing, chest hair exposed, dude, smoking a cig, and they make eye contact at this party, and it's like, yeah, they're gonna fuck. And they don't even speak the same language, but it's just their sexual energy. There was mysterious magnetism between the United States and Russia. Honestly, maybe less sexually. It's one of those things where it's we could have been boys. For some reason, we were like, dude, we could be boys. Dap it up. You ever have that, Aaron? You go visit a friend, you meet a dude, like you meet one of your friend's boys, and you're like, dude, I like this guy, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, this guy, Gleb, in Santa Barbara back in the day, good dude. He showed me pro nails. Wow, 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 wow. Deep, heavy house music. He showed me that. Him and I went back to his dorm together, chilled, hung out. He lit his lava lamp. Good dude. I was crashing my boy Brooks. He goes, dude, why don't you just crash here, bro? I go, dude, are you for real? He's like, yeah, we're all going to meet up for fast burritos in the morning. Might as well just chill here, listen to some house music. We listened to loud music till 4 a.m. Got yelled at by the RA. Rightfully so. Don't know where Gleb is this day. Dude might be dead. Unrequited brodom, dude. So basically Russia aligns with the U.S. in opposition of France and Britain. Okay?
I thought you said the Civil War.
Yes. But
I mean the Revolutionary War, don't you?
Aaron, this is the civil, but I'm going to get to the revolutionary in a second. I'm going to get to the revolutionary in a second because France in that war aligns with the U.S. We're going to get into some reasons of that. But this is in the American Civil War.
Okay. So they're aligning with the Union as opposed to
the Confederacy because Britain and France, they had economic interests. The cotton industry, they had economic interest to support the Confederacy. And then Russia being, on the international scale, and also Russia's economy, which was more agrarian at the time, isn't really affected too much by this American war going on. Mm-hmm. So they say, you know what? Fuck France and Britain. We want to step up on this stage. We're going to support the Union. In fact, while this American Civil War is going on and two parties are fighting, the North and the South, we want to make sure France and Britain can't come in and swoop. So we're going to dock our fucking Navy, protect it, actually, because we have the deep harbors here in the United States, San Francisco Bay and New York. Russia sends ships, vessels, down to quote unquote protect those harbors, but really they're just posting up. Lincoln offers, the captains and stuff. He puts them up at the sickest hotels. He's like, hey, I'm going to throw you guys some diplomatic parties. Just post your ships right there. You don't really need to do anything, but we appreciate your ships posting up in our harbors. And it's sort of this, what do they call that? Like a gesture or a maneuver by Russia to support the Union cause without really having to do anything.
Yeah.
They just kind of dock their boats there and say, what up? But it's sort of like, and you go, why did this develop? What is this mysterious energy, magnetism that we had? There's a few aligning factors here. Tsar Alexander II, he emancipates the serfs in 1861. Lincoln is working to emancipate the slaves in the United States. So there's sort of some ideological congruencies here with the Union and the Russia, this abolition of serfdom. You got geopolitical strategy, which I sort of went over. It's Russia being like, hey, we want to step up on the global scale. Let's keep Britain and France at bay here a little bit. Also, we don't want them teaming up against us. Britain and France are always at odds. But we can't have that. So Russia's kind of playing the long game here. And then in 1863, that's when Russia sends their fleet to New York and San Fran, basically posting up. And then after the war, this magnetism sort of continues. Mark Twain, ever heard of him? He visits Crimea. That's the Crimean Peninsula, which is, now has been usurped by Russia, and there's war going on there now. But he travels abroad, a boat called the Quaker City, and he visits Yalta and Odessa, and it's funny that Odessa, you have that in Texas as well. Mm-hmm. And Twain writes in his words, as he does so well, and I quote, "Look up the street or down the street, this way or that way, we only saw America. There was not one thing to remind us that we were in Russia." So
weird.
He's saying it's
crazy.
Got American vibes.
There's Odessa, Texas. There's also Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
So.
Also, there's a ton of towns in Texas just called like Travis, Mark, Kyle, Brian. It's the city. Like there's so many first name cities. It's just the one dude that lives there, Eric, Texas, dude. So, and you have a somewhat longer history here too. They've James Madison. He appoints John Quincy Adams as the first minister in Russia. In 1832, Russia becomes the first nation to enjoy a quote most favored nation trading status with the United States. You know, probably lesser tariffs, and you know, also the United States does help Russia in the Crimean War against Britain. And the France and Ottoman Empire. We've done an episode on the Crimean War. Go check that out. You know, that sort of Tennyson's Charge of the Light Brigade. Check that out. Franklin Pierce administration successfully blunted efforts by this guy, Baron Edward de Stuck, the Russian charge d'affaires in Washington, D.C. to craft formal alliance with the United States. He supplies Russia with coal, cotton, munitions, and other war supplies, doctors, even American volunteers. Throughout this conflict. So, needless to say, there's a collective memory of American assistance during the Crimean War and the Tsar's emancipation of 22 million Russian serfs on March 3rd, 1861, the negligible impact of the agrarian economy in Russia. So, there was a sort of a Goldilocks condition here for stoke between the two nations, if you will. So, kind of sick. Because you look now and you go, oh man, we're total foe. We're kind of beefing with Russia all the time. Space race. Also, dude, ancient Russia. Obviously, you know, they didn't identify as Russians, but you never find artifacts discovered there. It's too cold. Maybe it's lying deep, deep, deep beneath the ice in Siberia or something like that when the climate was different during Pangea or whatever. But there was actually no humans during Pangea, so now I got to take that back, immediately strike that, but we don't edit here. You just got to think, you know, you look in South America, Easter Isles, you see these giant megaliths, you know, Olmec, these big old statues, but you never see any ancient pyramids or any structures in Russia. But they've got more modern developments, Sputnik, fucking, what else did they do that's pretty sick, dude? Communism. No, that's not entirely. Actually, I guess it is, Marx. They do have some, you know, Sigmund Freud, even though a lot of his stuff is questioned now. Novelists, Russian novelists, you know, you have them, deep thinkers.
The ballet.
Yep, the ballet, yes.
Composers.
Figure skating.
Tchaikovsky.
Yep, good call. Is Bukowski Russian?
No, he's an American.
Okay. So now, Aaron, let's get into this Revolutionary War, okay, when ideologies align. Britain and France, they fight the French and Indian War. That's what it was called. France loses. They lose their colonies to Britain. Britain has beef with France. Now the Americans are revolutionizing. Let's go ahead and just screw Britain. Let's keep them out of this. We don't want them making more money. France's selfish interest aligned with American values. Famous example of this, our boy John's. But beyond just economic principles and, you know, conquest aligning with France, also ideology. You don't get the Declaration of Independence without some French thinkers. Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
Yeah.
You don't get his influential work, The Social Contract. His words, man is born free and everywhere he is in chains. Talking about governments. Of course, counter-argument could be made, and I have to be honest, John Locke does also heavily influence the Declaration of Independence, but that doesn't fit my thesis right now, so shut up.
Yeah, but Jefferson and Franklin hang out in France a lot.
Aaron, I love that you said that, because Benjamin Franklin just being charismatic and likable is huge for American independence. His quote-unquote, as Gen Z would say, Riz? Dude, he's sent there. He even sends dudes that he approves later on once Franklin gets older and he's going abroad.
Yeah.
He sends like this guy Celestien to Paris in disguise of purchasing, you know, goods to repay Native Americans that, from the war, but really it's just to buy munitions and supplies to support the Revolutionary War. But they have to guise it and spy it so that, the British fleet doesn't, just bomb our friggin' merchant vessels on the way back, or cannon them or whatever. Boke them, dude. Gank them, dude. Whatever, dude. Recruit soldiers as well. 25,000.
Yeah, the show with Michael Douglas on Apple Plus is about this at Franklin.
Oh, dude, yeah, I saw an image of that.
Yeah. He looks kind of absurd, but
he does look absurd. But you know what? People, him and it looks absurd. But Franklin's style was considered, even though he was like an aristocrat in the United States and was, obviously hanging out with aristocrats in France to get money and investments and stuff. But his style, dude, the ladies loved it, bro. He wore like a fur hat instead of that like white wig. His clothes were seen as more rustic. Also, he's from still kind of quote unquote the New World, which is basically like the moon. And he was just an interesting dude. He was always, working on science.
Renaissance man.
Yeah, total Renaissance man. Science experiments, introducing New World cuisine like corn and cranberries. He was appealing to people's palates, their scientific interests at the time, and he liked to bone. Dude had syphilis, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Dude was spreading that shit all over the place.
Oh, boy.
He was boning, dude. He was wooing French women. Dude, fucking B. Franklin was having stand-up sex using his bifocals to tongue dart. He was doing that. Well, let me see that a little closer. Say necessity is the mother of invention, dude. Yeah, bro. So that was huge. Huge for us. Of course, the beef, it was charming the aristocracy, dude. Charming them. Of course, commerce. We enter these twin agreements in 1778, Treaty of Alliance, Treaty of Amity, and commerce, basically saying, look, we're going to deal with each other. And, France has this moral cause. They say, look, we support, we went through a revolution. We support the ideologies that are being put forth here. So even though it's to keep the British at bay, really, they're saying, look, we support this cause, this young nation. Let us give them a bell. Let us give them a statue that you see right behind me. Look at that beautiful face. But it's tricky. These causes, this moral, this warality, this interference with governments, we can see it go south. We do, and of course, in South American nations, the Reagan era, in Vietnam, this quote-unquote Cold War, Korea, China comes in. They're going, no, we want to help out this young nation. After the victory, MacArthur's victory at Inchen, wipes out tons of Americans. Let's shift the globe here and give another example. The Opium Wars. This is sort of anti-warality here. I want to flip the side here where it's just kind of Britain. In Britain, I'm really painting as the bad guy here. Oh, look, I like you. You're sort of our cousins.
They know what they've done.
They do. And in the Opium Wars, they're just being straight up bad guys. They're anti-warality. They're just saying, we want to sell opium to your people. Let us do it. And in the Second Opium War, they actually team up with France. That's where this sort of comes in, where they're saying, look, we want global economy. We want the markets open. Why should there be closed gates? We all want to work together. We're all people. It's what they're saying, but really they're being like, we want to sell opium. We're getting your people addicted to it. It's causing a dictus crisis. During the Qing dynasty here, it's banned, and this is 1840s, 1842. There's the first Opium War. Second Opium War is, 7 or 6 years later. More. 17 years later-ish, 56 to 60. Britain and France, they demand Beijing, desperate to end the conflict. China signs a treaty giving the West more business power and control of the ports. This is always bad. You get Taiwan gets signed over to the Western powers. Hong Kong, that's where sort of these separate quote-unquote entities are created as during the Opium Wars to keep trade open. It's why stuff is cheap. There's less tariffs are able, it's why tons of products are built out of there for years. Not until, this Boxer Rebellion under the rule of this Empress Dowager Cixi, Cixi, secret society of harmonious fist began slaughtering foreigners, that they're finally kicked out. Crimes happen. Qing rule is weakened. This, of course, in 1912 leads to the People's Republic of China. Or excuse me, no, just the Republic of China. People's Republic comes later with communism, but it's fueled by Western educated revolutionary Sun Yat-sen. You've heard of Sun Yat-sen. The Shanghai Revolution of 1911 culminates in the Wuchang Uprising, and 15 provinces declared their independence from the Qing dynasty. Sun takes control in 1912, announcing the republic. This will lead to communism with Chiang Kai-shek and later Mao. But these are the establishing steps. Communism is a result of over-greedy capitalists. Okay? The pendulum has to correct too far the other way. Where does this tie into our thesis of Warality? Well, this is anti-Warality. This is them just saying, Warality is just basically economic self-interest. You can't be too greedy. Okay? You cannot be too greedy, because then you'll get these, you want to look at the African example, you get warlords taking over because of these colonial conquests. Here you get, theoretical, on paper, communism looks good. These guys, Sun Yat-sen is selling this idea of equality for all, and you want that. Because people have been working in factories, slaughtered in instances here. You get millions of people put to death here in China. It's crazy. The scale is insane in China. Like my boy Dan Carlin says, you look at the numbers, it's always astronomical. You add a factor of 10 when it comes to China. It's just crazy. So I just wanted to give that example. And then just a few classic examples before we get the heck out of here. And these might have been ones my boy Luke was thinking of, but these warality examples of self-interest aligning and guised under moral causes. Best example in history might be the Trojan War. It's Agamemnon saying, "You don't sleep with my bro's wife." Paris, the city of Troy, which I've been wanting to open up as an economic port, he now has an excuse to go to war. After Paris wooed Helen of Troy, Agamemnon and famously Brandon Gleeson going to drink to Paris's bones. All these Greek city-states, often maligned, sometimes aligned, but often not, come together. Helen, the face that launched afoul the 1,000 ships, the excuse, really, pinned on a woman. They go to war, 10 years. It's debated if this is real or not, but archaeologists have discovered evidence of, Troy and a war taking place in some instances. Some, obviously the mythical reason is probably not true of, where there's a quarrel between the goddesses of Athena and Aphrodite and Hera over who among them was the fairest, and Paris chose Aphrodite, and Athena and Hera plotted against Troy at that point. Cursed by the gods. Maybe it's mythical how ethical warality can be. Another great one, speaking of Orlando Bloom, the Crusades. Spread the word of God. Really, they're there for economic gain and glory in the Middle East. Great movie though, Kingdom of Heaven. Blacksmith, recruited by his father Liam Neeson to go and hold his lands that he's taken in the Holy Land. Orlando Bloom's got range. He goes from playing the biggest bitch in Paris to playing the biggest badass in Kingdom of Heaven. I forget the name of his character, Balain or something like that. I forget. Anyway, he's got a great speech. All have claim, none have claim. Speaking of Jerusalem, it's great. And that, the heretic, or not, I shouldn't say heretic, but the hypocrite priest who's a weakling and a coward when Saladin, who's a just and honorable man, just wants Jerusalem back. he says, Jerusalem, he goes, what does it really mean? He goes, nothing, everything. And he's at the gates, they're greatly outnumbered, and, Orlando Bloom is just protecting the city. That's all he's doing at this point. He's fighting so he can negotiate to save the lives, because the Christians famously slaughtered the Muslim occupants at the city at that time in the Crusades. That takes place during the Second Crusades. There's 3. This is during from 1050 to 1200 AD, of course. And Orlando Bloom is negotiating, and he's bringing up even young boys at arms just to hold the gates, and so he can negotiate finally. And because he trusts Saladin, they had a meet cute. It's a great movie. You should watch this. But the hypocritical priest.
Do you really think knighting a man makes him a better warrior?
And Orlando Bloom, after knighting this young boy who clearly can barely hold an axe, almost falling over in his armor, looks at the priest, says, "Yes." The boy stands a little bit. His spine gets a little stiffer. He goes to his post. Badass, dude. Badass. And with that badassdom, I will leave you on this episode. Write in more emails. I like suggestions. Let me know about these little history. I didn't know Russia was sending boats, ships, I should say, to the harbors here. I love when, current foes were old bros. That might be the title of the episode. Current foes, old bros. So hit me up with suggestions, questions, comments, anything. Stay stoked, and I'll catch the Dankatorians on the next one. Check out the special live right now.
Do it.
ATC's YouTube. Do it. Do it. Late.